Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Marcus here again, here because someone loves you and wants to liberate you from the bondage that you know not of. You know, I was just thinking about childhood, and I was thinking about my own and others. And I believe that every individual at an early age, in their imagination, they see themselves as being great. They see themselves as being special in some phase, some field, something. Whether it's, you know, when we start talking about greatness, we compare that to people making money. That doesn't necessarily have anything to do with greatness. Most great people do get paid a lot of money. But it might be in singing and the arts, and dancing and music, and painting or writing or poetry, or digging ditches or building bridges or coming up with cures for certain sicknesses and disease. It might be any of these things, but I'm sure that at an early age, sometime, that each one of us had a feeling that we wanted to be great. Well, I'm no different than anyone else. I sure wanted to be great. And you know, when you watch television and read books, they always got a hero in it. Somebody that comes out on top. Always. And so I'm sure that there were some people who wanted to take the other course, maybe be the bad guy. But for me, I always wanted to be the good guy. Now, when I saw Paladin or Gunsmoke, I probably want to be Paladin or Gunsmoke. I very seldom wanted to be the Indians, because the Indians were getting beat. And so I was just being primed and shaped. But when I really think about what really got me, who my heroes were, my number one hero was Jesus. I grew up in the church, and I bought into it line, sink, and caught that Jesus was something else. So when everybody else might have had Thor or some other god, I saw Jesus as the one that I wanted to emulate. Now, that had to do with my spiritual life. When it came down to really being practical about it, I saw Dr. King as my example during my lifetime. A man that was on the same path with the same aspirations as I viewed it, and with the same outcome. And to me, these and men that I had read about, men like Gandhi, you know, people who stood for the same basic principles, that seemed to be so exciting to me, so enlightening to me. So I wanted that kind of greatness. I could never be a speaker like Dr. King, but what I wanted to do in my greatness was to be an entertainer. I wanted to sing, I wanted to dance, I wanted to act, and I wanted to be good at all of it. I wanted to be as good as Michael Jackson, as good as Sidney Poitier, and as good as the other person who you want to fill in the blank as being dynamic. All of those things got me going. And I made some notes to kind of to explain to you why. As I grew older, I ran into some things that brought me to a different awareness. When I thought about Dr. King and I thought about Jesus and others, I thought about what was behind all of this. And in thinking that, I decided that my message to you, this short little message, just going to be talking about a little notes here and there, is the biggest con the world has never known. The biggest con the world has never known. You know, when I mentioned about Jesus and Dr. King a moment ago, and what happened to these gentlemen at the end of their lives, is an indication to me that this perhaps is what happened to people who are truly led by that spirit. And that is the evidence. And everything else, basically, as we live on this earth, belongs to the other. You know, government doesn't belong to God. Not this government. They want you to believe it is, but it's not. The religion, politics, business, they all just a game to rule you, to rule the public. Now, God has one plan. Heaven everywhere for those that want it and choose it and got the evidence. You heard about everlasting life, heaven everlastingly. To me, ladies and gentlemen, that means if you got the mindset, if you got the heart set, if you got the spirit set, then wherever you are, now we talk about parallel dimensions and universes and stuff like this. We don't even know anything about that, but if you're thinking about it, it just might be true. And we might just be going to place to place to place to place, depending upon where we have assigned ourselves to by our conduct. So, when I say that this here thing about heavenly and heavenly everlastingly, that basically means that if you got that kind of makeup, that character, that you are going to be in heaven wherever you are. Now, what does that mean? That means that physically, you know what you think about heaven, everything is perfect. You can be there. Or you might end up in a place like the United States of America. Now, what happens to a person that's truly led by the Spirit of God in the United States of America? They are at peace with themselves and their understanding about what and who and why they are. And they're looking at a dark world which they see needs a doctor. And by them being there, they are the physician that come to take care of this problem. That's the reality. And because they're doing it, then that peace, that comfort that comes from heavenliness is with them always. But not only that, when you start having an impact and the place that you're at are not ready for that particular change, they're not ready to make that choice, then here's the great big test. What you gonna do? It's always a test, ladies and gentlemen. What you gonna do? If you are not ready, if they are not ready to make that change, are you going to? Because now you still got to eat, you still got to sleep, you still need education, perhaps. You still gonna need some health care. All of these things you're still gonna need. But the way that you get that stuff in this world, you got to submit to the world's way. Now, how can you do that if you're truly led by the Spirit of God? I'll tell you what's going to happen. The Spirit of God, for a period of time, is going to have somebody respond to your needs. Because there are good people in the world. They're just not ready to make that other step because they're not there yet. So, all I'm saying to you is, wherever you are, that's heavenliness. Because heaven is within, without, it's everywhere for those that's built up that heavenly stuff. Now, let me give you an idea of what I've been trying to say all this time, because time is passing by. You, we, Americans and people of the world, for you to get the picture that I'm trying to give to you is this. Government and the kind of systems that we live under, they are a way of pimping. And that pimping is expressed through taking necessary and required resources that belongs to another and use them as your own. Pimping. taking necessary and required resources that belong to another and using them as your own. Now, to control and extract power over the masses, you have the masses work for money to buy back that which is already theirs. Now, ain't that a pimp? Ain't that a pimp? The biggest con the world has ever known. Check it out. The biggest con the world has ever known. You come onto the world, and you come into a world that is expressing a pimping game. Have come here ahead of you. You got it all set up. And now here you're going to come into something. Well, it's legal. Laws were passed which, for them, made the practice legal and righteous. It made the practice legal and righteous. The laws were passed. So, you go out, the public go out, you make the money, you bring it back, and you give it to them in exchange for goods and services, which you unknowingly already own. Let me give you an example. Let me ask you something. Who owns the land? Who can own the land? But I bet you there's a deed somewhere with a human being or a public name signed as owner. Now they passed laws that made it legal and righteous for them. But I ask you, who can own land? Tell me. Who can own land? Well, we have a teaching at our early age that heaven is only after death. And a statement like that, a teaching like that, makes you complacent. First of all, you got to turn the other cheek. That protects, who does that protect? That protects the bully. He can knock you all upside your head. And rather than you retaliating by letting him know what you feel about that and how it felt, he got you thinking to turn the other cheek. He can walk away scot-free. Now that might make you think about something. Because somebody said that if you go for an eye, that means everybody's going to walk around blind. Somebody might say, what's wrong with that? If you take out my eye, you don't deserve to see either. So we all walk around blind. Maybe we'll let the dogs and the birds and the goats lead us where we want to go, since we have been such a fool. Well, they take that money and we bring it back and give it to those for the goods and services that are owned. Now, when you're teaching that heaven is only after death, only after death, you talk all kinds of stuff about being good and kind and nice and what Jesus did and God did and others did. But this heavenliness is only going to come after you die, planted in the early stage. So that means that when you growing up in life and your station might not have you in the 1%, in somewhere in the 99%, you might be closer to the top, in the middle, at the bottom. But what they're trying to get you set up for is to appreciate that. If you don't like where you're at, try harder, struggle harder, become more of somebody that can deceive, play a different con game. You know, dog eat dog. And then perhaps you can move on up out of that station that you're in. So they got it set up like that. So what we have, ladies and gentlemen, is a person missing out on the heaven because they've been taught you couldn't have heaven. Now, when someone like me comes around and tell you that I've been sent to give you a message of liberation, to tell you that all that you know about everything that you know is something that's been taught to you, even your thought processes is thrown against the backdraft of what you have been taught from the time you came here up until now. So what does that mean? That means it's messed up. Bottom line means it's messed up. And you don't have to get pissed off with me for saying it's messed up. Look around you. It's messed up. I don't care how good you're doing. It's still messed up. I don't care how bad you're doing. It's still messed up. So this is the reality. You might ask yourselves, well, what's up with that? Well, I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that the pains and sufferings that people endure, it's a result of individual and collective action. Some people say, well, why don't God fix this problem? Well, God allows it because it is choice. It is the result of individual and collective choice. And what happens when you make these choices? There's an outcome, there's a result. Now, these are your initial teachers. When you try some come back to you, that teaches you something. Especially if it's the first time, you might try it a couple of times. Then you might learn from it. You might tell somebody about it. You might teach somebody about it. You might put it in a book, write it on the wall. People use that as education so they don't have to bump their heads through all the things you had to bump your head through. So the pains and suffering, my friends, those are things that we allow to happen ourselves. And you might argue against that, but I'm telling you, when we all living here in this earth, all living here in America, and all this stuff is still going on. Still going on, and nobody's resisting it. People just keep on playing that con game. And so when I come out there and say, the Lord want to liberate you and tell you that you belong to a spirit made by something you can't see, can't touch, can't feel. And that no man is above you. No individual is above you, nor are you above any individual. And all resources belong to the creator of it, God. No human being. I don't care what kind of law they passed. How they made it legal. It's immoral. Everything belongs to God. That's what God told me to tell you. And even you belong to God. And God knows you have to survive here on this earth. Every last one of you. He made it common. But he also provided all of the resources necessary from the beginning of time throughout infamy. For human beings and what their imagination might take them from there to now and to then. The resources are here. And that which we need during our time has already been embedded in each of us. A bit, a piece that describes who we are and our purpose in life. And getting a chance to plug it in gives us our greatest joy. That individual power got us set that way. And when we do that, we create, as I got through mentioning to you a moment ago, all the goods and services that are essential for our survival. But not only that, we're not limited to that. All that we can imagine is there for us to do, unlimited. We were designed that way. That is our purpose here. Set up and designed by the master. And in so doing that, our needs are met, our wants are met, our desires are met. We got peace and prosperity and freedom and joy of life and the fulfillment of our dreams. That's what the Spirit, our original purpose, our original provider, has designed to happen here. To happen here. And people like Jesus and Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and many others that I can't mention because I don't know who they are. That is why they are not here. But that's why they try to name a religion after one and put that one as God. So if you're going to try to be like somebody, try to be like somebody that they thought was God. Now you might say, well, as you gotten older, didn't you grow up and understand that Jesus never existed? Well, it's not a point that Jesus never existed. Look at the story. Anybody, you, I, all of us, we can take that script. We can be that character. We don't have to worry about did Jesus exist. You become the character. Be Jesus. Show that much love. Have that kind of faith that allows you to walk on water. Now, you might not have that kind of faith. But you can have the kind of faith that makes you stand up for righteousness. Look, we just just got through going through an activity with the impeachment process the other day. The whole world see America for what it is. I don't care what America has been saying to the world. All your life, what they've been teaching you, what they've been telling the world. The whole world saw America the other day for what it really is. They saw a president who the people say was corrupt and no good, didn't have any business being the president of the United States because he had violated a certain kind of rules. This was the evidence. It ain't that they just didn't like him. They had the evidence that he had violated the rules that would allow him to continue to stand there with trust. And so they would say, no, but this guy got to go. That's what they said. That was part of the community. That was part of the collective. But that's just the body part of it. The other part says, okay, now it's in our hands. Now we have the authority to be unbiased, hear the evidence that is being presented to us by the House, and listen to the president's defense, listen to his counsel, and we make an unbiased decision. That is our role, that is our job. The world sees this, the world knows that they're checking us out. And then we stand before the national television and the international media, and we say to them, but we are going to be biased. We're going to work hand in hand with the defendant, and we're going to make sure that he gets off. Not, why? Is it because you think he does? You're not supposed to be thinking. You're supposed to be judging the evidence. They said, I think that was true, I'm not sure. But anyway, this is what the world sees. And then the evidence is presented. The defense doesn't even present a defense. They don't say it didn't happen. They just say procedure didn't make sense. In other words, we are guilty, but we're not going to defend ourselves because you are too stupid, not just the House, but the American people, to know anything. And why do we know? Because we're pushing the envelope. We're pushing the envelope. We're saying you're too stupid. Just because we're saying it, you can't prove that you're not. And so, tomorrow, they're supposed to either get this guy cleared. And they have said that they took an oath, the world looking, saying we are going to be unbiased, even though they had already said they were going to be. But they publicly said we are going to be unbiased. And they did this, swore this oath before the world. Then they went and signed on a piece of paper that they were going to be unbiased. And ever since they have done that, they've been speaking nothing but being biased. And tomorrow will prove whether they are biased or not. And if they are biased, the whole world sees America as a big lie. And their faith in God doesn't mean mud. It's just standing up on a big fake lie, the biggest con the world has never known. If that's what happens. Now they might wake up and decide not to put that image out there for them, but chances are they might. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that should teach you all about this big world that you're living in, whether you're in Russia, Germany, France, if you're here in the United States. That should teach you about the big world that you're living in. It's all a big con game. And you know that what I shared with you about God's plan, that invisible God plan for you, is what you want. The only thing that's keeping you is because of what you've been taught. What you've been taught. But I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that God says you can have the desires of your heart. And you don't have to put your faith in me, or white man, or white woman, or black woman, or up or down. You put your faith in God and give the evidence by allowing that same Spirit of God to live in you. And you become the physical manifestation of all the love that God is. And can't nobody argue with you. Let them kill you. They'll put you, or they made Jesus a kind of God. They'll do the same thing to you. And you will never be forgotten. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, Eddie Marcus say goodbye.